Hello everyone, welcome to Brick Vault. In this video I get to show you an amazing custom Venator design. This was built by the designer Fly in Space, and it is the Venator Negotiator. That's the specific ship that landed under Obi-Wan Kenobi's direct command during the Clone Wars. The Venator is essentially the first iteration of a classic Star Destroyer frame, and it was specifically made for releasing hundreds of starfighters in rapid succession. When you are fighting a mostly droid robotic army, the ability to quickly overwhelm your enemy is pretty important if you want to win the battle. Even though the later Imperial Star Destroyer ended up replacing the Venator after the end of the Clone Wars, some still consider this ship the optimal platform for head-to-head engagements. Now, before I jump into any of the details, first, I do want to say that if you are at all interested in building this model for yourself, the instructions can be found at our web store, brickvault.toys. Included with any purchase is the PDF step-by-step building guide and the digital parts list for quickly uploading all the pieces you'll need. Every creation in the web store has been troubleshot and tested to make the build go smoothly, and getting instructions is an excellent way to help support both what we do here at the channel, and it supports the awesomely talented designers that we work with, like Fly in Space, who has also built the similarly scaled Imperial Star Destroyer Torment. You can click that link in the description below if you want to get started, and now we are back with the Venator. This isn't what I would say is like a massive build, but all things considered, it's still fairly sizable. 68 centimeters long, 32 centimeters wide, 22 centimeters high, it still manages a decent footprint. It looks great next to Fly's other model, the ISD Torment, but these don't scale together. They weren't designed that way. In universe, actually, the Venator should be a bit smaller than the Imperial Star Destroyer. Now, one thing that I do love that is shared between these two builds is that impeccable attention to detail and proportion. This Venator isn't just a pizza slice of Lego bricks with some rough stuff on the sides. The designer went corner to corner, angle to angle, and lined it all up together fantastically close to its in-universe inspiration. Whether it's the angles of the top panels sloping down, the length of the engines in the rear compared to the body, or the height of the superstructure. These are all sized and spaced to a scarily close degree of accuracy. Now, of course, technical accuracy is not and never will be that final mark of what makes a great looking Lego build, but it does show the attention from the designer and demonstrates his capacity to create the shapes that he wants. This ability to build now also directly translates down to the smaller greebles that you can find on the model. This is always one of my favorite aspects of a creation like this. When you look closely, I think it's actually everything a minifigure needs to go on some great outdoor adventures. A fig could go roller skating. There's tons of roller skate pieces all over here. They could get both skis and ski poles for the snow, zip line maybe from tree to tree, use binoculars to see far away, and then cut down that said tree with the saw blade. I mean, there really is a lot of densely packed detail pieces here, and that just helps illustrate the large scale of what this ship is supposed to represent. I think it's something like close to 1,200 meters long in the Star Wars universe. But sticking with details, in the rear, there are several subtle angles built in, like how the top panels angle downward along the edge. That inner wall, also in the rear, cants forward slightly in a very similar kind of style of connection. And then the engines, just like the sides, are just speckled and tightly packed full of tiny details everywhere. My personal favorite bit of building along this area is the way Fly in Space created that bottleneck style shape to the two larger thrusters and then reinforced them with the 6L bars. But there's frankly just a lot to appreciate here, and I'm just giving you some highlights. Along the top, there are all kinds of subtle shapes blending into one another. The outline of the larger cannons has semi-recessed bricks that inlay behind them. The walls of the superstructure rise out of the flat top surface and angle inward along the sides, all while remaining smooth when it wants to be and textured when the model calls for it. That stand is locked into the frame of the ship. It's not separatable. Very, very strong connection with Technic lift arms, and it keeps the model also extremely well balanced. It doesn't have that want to lean forward or back. All in all, the Venator is just a tough creation to knock out with such clean lines, but the designer Fly in Space really managed to lock all the key angles together, while at the same time maintaining that direct control over the texture of the ship, which together offers that large sense of scale that a model like this I think really needs. Now remember, if you want to build this creation for yourself, the instructions can be found at our web store. That's brickvault.toys. It's linked in the description. Remember, as always, please do let me know what types of other ships you like to see built in the studio for the future. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end of this video. If you enjoy our content, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share, and we'll see you next time at Brick Vault.